is fumbled, picked up by Kenneth Olivode, and he runs it in from the 6.
And Colorado has upset UCLA.
20th, and there it is! Are you kidding me?
Jumper from 15 and will knock it down. Kennedy Leonard.
Over left, there's a slip screen inside. Actually elevates and slams with the left hand.
Talked about it before. Players make plays. Players make plays, and you guys made plays tonight. Okay, you made plays. We weathered some storms. Okay, out of halftime, end of the first half, we had a bad stretch. First part of the second half, we had a bad stretch. But the one thing we showed is mental toughness tonight. We showed it. Okay, you guys competed your ass off. You did what you had to do. We made plays down the stretch when we had to. I still think there's a lot of room for improvement for us in terms of playing smart. Okay. And especially down the stretch. We didn't get enough stops down the stretch. It shouldn't have been that close if we get stops. But we understand. Colorado State did it. Xavier did it tonight at the end of the game. They're just putting their heads down and driving. Now, I thought our verticality was great. Okay? You guys tried to do the right thing. Guys, I'm proud of you. I am proud of you. All right? And not just because we won, but because we bucked up and we competed. Okay? And if we buck up and compete, guys, that's all I can ask for. Everybody up. Let's go.
Inspiring words from the head coach Tad Boyle after the Buffaloes knocked off number 13 Xavier last week, right here at the Coors Event Center, 68-66. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the Buffalo Stampede. I'm Mark Johnson, associate head coach John Preload, joining us for a couple of minutes here. Nice win for the Buffs, knocking off Xavier last week. Good performance, top to bottom, you think?
I thought it was a great win for us. I think we were. I don't want to say consistent in both halves because we weren't very good in the first half in terms of our field goal percentage offense.
Right.
But in the second half, we picked it up. I think we shot 71% from the three. We shot like 56% from the field. So we did a great job there. Our defense, for the most part, was pretty consistent. So we did a great job. They're a really good team, top 25 team, really well coached. And we were just fortunate and we were happy that our guys responded.
Coach, is that one of the things about this team that maybe makes you guys scratch your head a little bit, the inconsistency? How you can go from one half to the next and be up and down?
Yeah, that's happened a lot this year, especially in our losses and even in our wins, where we've had situations where our field goal percentage has been very low one half, then it's been great the second half, or our field goal percentage defense has been awful in one half and then really good in the second half. So we've talked to our guys about those things. Coach preaches trying to be consistent on a daily basis. We try and practice things during practice to make us become more consistent. So it's not like we haven't addressed the situation. We're trying to address the situation.
What has been I knew that you knew that Derek White was a talented player.
Yes.
But being on the court with the lights on, actually being out there in live action, what's been your assessment of his play this season?
Well, I think he's been tremendous. He's been a gamer, especially at the end of games. I mean, I just think right off the top of my head, I think about Texas and I think about Xavier, where he basically took control of the game, definitely on the offensive end of the floor. And he's been doing that in practice as well. From the first time we could get on the floor from last year into this year, he's been really good. On both ends of the floor. I think he's improved his individual defense, one-on-one defense. He's gotten a lot better there as well.
You look at the Buffaloes offensively, you got Derek White, George King, X Johnson. They've kind of been the cornerstone offensively, kind of counting on him for that 13, 14, 15 points a ball game. Do you have to start finding productivity elsewhere on this team on a consistent basis?
On a consistent basis, I mean, yes, it'd be great. It'd be great for all of our guys to be on full cylinder every single second that they play. Each team, I think, around the country has situations where guys are stepping up at this specific time and they're playing really well, and then other guys might be struggling a little bit. But that's why you have a team. That's why it's team basketball. So it's not necessarily just on those three guys. Yes, we'd like other guys to step up, and I think they will. I think they will.
Getting a win like that Xavier victory, again, 68-66, the Buffs knock off the number 13 team in the country. That's a good for a group that's kind of finding itself. That's a good feather in its cap, isn't it, of confidence maker, if you will, to say, hey, we can play with the best teams in the country.
No question. I mean, we've had great success here. with ranked teams that have come into Boulder. Obviously, we want to try and take that on the road. We always talk about defense has to be able to travel. We always talk about defense doesn't really take a lot of talent per se. It's not like a skill situation where you're shooting or dribbling or passing, which takes skill. So we try to preach to our guys, you have to be able to defend, you have to be able to rebound at a high level consistently. And when you do that night in and night out, you're always going to have a chance to win.
How have you graded the Buffs defensively so far this season?
I would say right now, I mean, we're holding people under 40%. I think we're at 38 or 37% field goal percentage defense. So, I mean, that's big time. We would like it to be 40 or below. So, I mean, right now after 10 games, we're better defensively than we were last year.
Yeah. How about interiorly? I know Wesley's been a very good interior defender, but you miss a guy like Josh Scott. So that changes things greatly.
We do, and you know it's interesting that you said that because, like right now after 10 games, okay, our field goal percentage defense is 41%. That's last year. This year it's 38%. So how much was it? How much was it, Josh Scott, at this point in time? Now, as the season goes on, maybe, yes, you'll see, the Josh Scott, you know, what's the word I'm looking at? Effect, yes. But right now, with 10 games in, you know, our defense is pretty solid. Interior, I think we're pretty solid. We've been helping one another. I wouldn't say maybe necessarily that one guy who blocks shots or comes in and takes charges. I think it's more of a collective group situation this year.
Certainly a nice victory for the Colorado Buffaloes as they knock off number 13 Xavier here at the Coors Event Center, 68-66. That's Associate Head Coach John Preload. Stay with us here on the Stampede. Assistant Coach Mike Rowan is going to join us next after we come back.
So that leadership, they're void of that right now. Nick Emery stepping up. He's learning that. My goodness, young man.
Inside.
Go west, young man.
Xavier Johnson.
Xavier Johnson coming in with that.
Back at the Stampede, I'm Mark Johnson, assistant coach for the CU men's team. Mike Rowan joining us here for a couple of minutes. After that big victory over number 13 Xavier, the Buffaloes were on the road in BYU and up dropping a 79-71 contest to BYU. And Ronnie, maybe the story of the game with that contest for the Buffaloes is, you know, we've talked so much, Tad and I, about this team lacking consistency. Was that maybe part of the story with BYU?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit. You know, one thing about BYU that night is that they kind of got both things working offensively. They'd really been struggling shooting the ball.
Right.
And when we came to town, they found their jump shots that night because they got a really, really good post player inside, actually 3 of them. And so they're very balanced offensively, and we knew going in it was going to be one of those games if they were really shooting the ball well from 3. Could be a game very similar to Notre Dame offensively. And you know, playing in their building, it can get really fast. And we probably weren't as good consistently defensively as we needed to be, but they had a little bit to do with that too. They were pretty talented offensive group.
Yeah, the Buffs generally had been good against the 3 this season. In fact, going into that ball game, Colorado holding opponents to 29% from outside the arc. The big guy you're talking about is Mika, and he had been on a roll. Just goes to show what kind of defense the Buffs can play on the interior, but maybe specifically a guy like Wesley Gordon. His length really affects people, doesn't it?
Yeah, Wesley actually played pretty well. You know, we went into that game with a little different strategy with part of our defense in terms of maybe trapping a little bit in the post at the start of that game, and it didn't work out real well for us because we gave a couple quick threes. So it's not something we do a lot. It's something we've kind of been working on a little bit this summer. We worked on early in practices, and it didn't go real well early. We were trying to do it maybe to save some fouls because Mika is, you know, he's a very talented, probably a potential first-round draft pick guy. So we did, for the most part, did a decent job on him. You know, he still had 17 points, but he was averaging 21. There's not many centers in the country averaging 21 points a game. The thing about them that night, you know, is they're 3-point shooters who are really good 3-point shooters. They just hadn't been making them. They kind of got going that night and made some really tough ones.
Yeah, Mika got a number of points, including from the foul line as well, so he spent a lot of time there. When you look at this team offensively, the Buffaloes, when you see the lack of consistency, what are you seeing when you watch them on tape?
You know, I think it's just, I hate to say it's a confidence thing, you know, because we're getting pretty good shots for our good shooters. And, you know, I don't know if they're just pressing a little bit or what, but, you know, all you can do with them is tell them to keep taking good shots.
Right.
And hopefully, you know, Xavier in the second half, You know, you're going to shoot 60–70% from three, and they're going to go in, and that's why Coach is always talking about, you know, you can't count on shots all the time. You know, you got to be able to rely on your defense and rebounding, because some nights the shots are going to fall, some nights they're not. We have a lot of confidence in this group offensively, but they just got to keep getting better.
You know, it's been fun seeing Xavier Johnson back in the court. I mean, he brings an intensity. After his injury season a year ago, he really brings kind of a spark out there for the Buffaloes, doesn't he?
Yeah, I've been really pleased with what he's doing. You know, our staff's, we knew he was going to have a good senior year. You know, it was just a matter of how quickly he was going to get back into game shape, and probably a little quicker than what we thought. But yeah, he's got that fire that we need. You know, Josh brought a lot of that fire, and so it's nice to see where he's at. I think he's finally getting comfortable with where he's at conditioning-wise, and so, you know, we need him to be really good, obviously.
How would you assess the freshmen, DeLeon Brown, Bryce Peters, Lucas Seward, as you've looked at them now through, what, 9 or 10 games? I
think they're doing a great job. You know, they practice well every day, which sometimes, you know, for freshmen, they can really be up and down, you know, in terms of, you know, their concentration level. But those guys are pretty locked in for the most part. And I think you see it in games. They have a lot of talent, and what they need to do is just find ways to keep getting better, and when they get in there, blend in, and you know, I feel good about where they're at, and hopefully where they can keep going.
Buffaloes have only got 3 more non-conference games, and you jump into the deep end of the pool of the Pac-12, and that thing looks like it's heating up like crazy. I think it's going to be a war this season, that league, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You know, it is every year. I think there's some teams, you know, that have dropped a few. They don't want to drop. But once you get into league play, it doesn't matter what league you're in, you know, you got to protect your home court, and then you got to be able to go on the road and get as many as you can.
You feel good about the 3 ball games you got left to kind of iron out a couple of the wrinkles before you do jump into Pac-12 play?
Yeah, I do. You know, this is a good week for us with, you know, Fort Hays, you know, during finals week. You know, this is always a tough week for the guys. But then, you know, we got a quick turnaround with Air Force, which is not great, you know, because Air Force is not an easy prep game, because they do a lot of different things you got to prepare for. But it's going to be a quick turnaround, so we're going to have to be locked in without a doubt.
All right, Coach, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, Assistant Coach Mike Rohn, he and the Buffaloes, you got Fort Hays State this weekend. Stay with us as we continue into Stampede. We're going to shift to the 18th rated Colorado women's basketball team when we come back.
Beaten Colorado State 74-56 here at the buzzer. Well, they beat everybody they faced from in-state, that's for sure. Buffs win it, go to 9-0.
Welcome back to the Buffalo Stampede. The Colorado women's basketball team continues to roll unblemished, still in the top 25 and moving up after a victory over rival Colorado State midweek. And joining us is sophomore Kennedy Letter. Speaking of moving on up, how about you and the points you're putting up? 31 points versus the Rams.
Yeah.
Did you shoot every time you touched the ball?
Not every time, but I did shoot it a lot. I was like, dang, why am I shooting so much? But they were going in, so.
Truth be told, she was 9-17. That's pretty good efficiency to score 31 points and a school record tying 7 3-pointers. That's not a bad day. Were you feeling it before the game?
I was. In warm-ups, they were going in, and thank God they went in during the game, because it could have been rough if I would have missed all those, but luckily I made them, and we won.
Do you know if you're going to have a good game? I mean, can you feel it in pregame?
Yeah, usually you can, just by like the way you're moving and the way your shot feels. Sometimes like my shot's not falling, I'm not going to shoot it, but as soon as you see the first one go in during the game, kind of you're good to go.
You know, it's interesting, the psychology, because, you know, there have been guys who have thrown, like, you know, perfect games or no-hitters in baseball and said, I couldn't find a strike zone before the game. Have you had one of those where you thought, oh, this is not going to be a good night?
Yeah, sometimes I miss every shot in warm-ups, and then I go into the game and I can't miss. So it's just, it literally is all in your head. If you think it's going to go in, it'll go in.
31 points, also had, 7 or 8 assists in that ball game as well. Buffalo's roll. Nice win, though, over the rival Rams.
Yeah, it felt good. Last year we lost to them by 1 point on a fadeaway jumper out of bounds. So to win that game and stay undefeated and stay unblemished, it was a good win.
What's the most points you've ever had in a game?
I think around like 37.
Okay. So, back in high school down in Texas?
Yeah, not too good, but.
When you're coming down the court, where you play, the position you play, what's the first thing you're looking for? Is it can I get a shot? What can I do with my teammates? What are you looking at?
Yeah, it's my wings, like Lex or Haley. If one of them are open, I got to pass it to them. So just being able to see the floor and see who's open and see who's running, because their job is to run as hard as they can up the side so that I can pass it to them. So my first look is them. And then the post comes right down the middle, so I'm looking for them. And then eventually I'll look for myself. So.
And I have to think, I was going to say, if you get them involved, things will eventually open up for you then, right?
Yeah, so if they, as long as they keep attacking and keep on shooting, eventually their players will, or my player will drop off and help on them. I'm going to open up lanes for me, and then if I'm attacking in transition, they're wide open usually, so I kick it to them and they hit their shots. So.
Well, what's different in year number 2 for you, do you think? Understanding the game, more comfortable, what do you think?
I think probably the game has just slowed down even more for me. Last year as a freshman, you come in and you're so excited for every game, you're a freshman. But sophomore year, I'm more of a leader now, so I got to try to keep everybody calm, and when times are rough. Like we went down 6-0 at the beginning of the CSU game. And I think last year I probably would have freaked out and been like, oh my God, we're going to lose. But this year I came down, put everybody into a more relaxed mode and kind of took over and allowed everybody else to kind of find their flow.
I know you've always been confident in your game, but in year 2, is there a sense of belonging at this level, do you think?
Yeah, obviously you feel like you have more confidence. You've been through it for a year and you've been through the rough times. Last year was a rough time, so we got through that, and now with every game in sophomore year, it's just another notch on the belt.
So this team is 9-0 right now. You guys are playing fantastic basketball. Obviously, you're playing well offensively. How about defensively?
Yeah, defense is interesting. Coach T gets after us every day. We do defensive drills that are like football drills, like cornerbacks and stuff like that. So he keeps it fun, keeps it interesting. And
you guys have been good defensively, which then leads to better offense.
Yeah, you get steals, you get to transition in offense, and we love to transition, so that's what matters.
So the Buffalo's playing some pretty good basketball right now at 9-0. Take us through the rest. Obviously, you got finals this week, which is not easy, right?
Yeah.
Are you taking care of business in the classroom?
I am. I'm trying.
All right, that's most important.
Yeah.
And then you've only got 2 more non-conference games left before you jump into the Big 12 or Pac-12.
Yeah, Mississippi Valley State and Wyoming. So both tough teams. We are going to Mississippi Valley, and then Wyoming comes to us. But either way, we gotta buckle in and get through these finals, and then we can focus on those games.
Going to Mississippi Valley, that's a heck of a road trip for the Buffaloes.
Yeah, it'd have been. I've never even heard of it. Never been there. I think I've been to Mississippi maybe once. So. We'll see. All
right, planes, trains, and automobiles for the Buffaloes as they look to improve to 10-0 with a game on the road against Mississippi Valley State. All right, we'll take care of business this week in the classroom, all right?
Will do.
All right, Kennedy Leonard, 31 points and a Buffs win over the Rams. Coming up next, senior Zoe Beardes is going to be joining us as we talk about that game at Mississippi Valley State.
Under 3 to go, up top here, Fails another 3. And count it! Back. She's made 2 3-pointers tonight. Those are her first 2.
Back in the Buffalo Stampede again, I'm Mark Johnson. Zoe Beardes joining us from the CU women's basketball team. Big win over Colorado State last week. Good stuff. They got a couple of games left before they put a wrap on the pre-conference season anyway. Nice win over the Rams. I know that's always, you're a senior now. You know what that's all about, right?
Yeah, it's always a big game for us. It's always something that we kind of look forward to, and I think we were all just really excited to get out there and play as hard as we could.
And a little payback as well. The Buffaloes last year lost to the Rams by 1 point.
Yeah, that was a tough game for us, and I think we left that kind of heartbroken, and because that was the first time like our seniors were trying to go 4 years without losing to CSU. It's kind of the goal, and it was tough, but I think we took that and we learned from it, and we came into this game and we were ready.
Does it take a while, do you think, for an athlete when they get here and they're not from Colorado, you're from out east, to come into the state and understand what that rivalry means a little bit?
Actually, no.
Really? You learned to hate them right away?
Pretty much. Not hate, but I was talking to our freshmen as we were starting the game, and I was like, this is a big game for us, and I was like, I don't know if you can feel the tension kind of between the teams or feel the energy from the crowd, but they were like pretty right away. They understood like what this means for our school and for our state.
This team is 9-0 right now, ranked in the top 20, has been for a couple weeks now. What does that mean considering where this program has been when you're a senior?
Wow, 9-0. Every time I hear it, it's still unreal. Considering we won 7 games last year, no one thought that we could do this. We believed, but we knew we were going to be fighting against everyone else and fighting against the odds. And I think it's meant so much to us, but we know that we've put in the work for it, and we know that our coaches believe in us, that we believe in us, and at the end of the day, that's all that really matters.
Here you guys are getting ready or used to a new coaching staff. Coach Payne comes in, new assistants, new system, that kind of thing. When did you have a sense that maybe this thing was turning a little bit?
Well, it was kind of every day we showed up to practice, slow change, getting better slowly, like very minimal things going drastically different. And then I think the more games we played, actually, the more confident we became. And then once we beat Kentucky, we were like, hold on, like, we can really do something here, you know? And I think it's not been like one day we just showed up to practice and everyone was like Allen Iverson. It was like every day we got a little bit better, and I think it's just also we have so much confidence right now in each other, which I think is bigger than, you know, having confidence in ourselves.
Where do you think this team has improved the most? What's made the biggest difference?
I think when we make a mistake, it's not, you know, oh gosh, your fault. You know, it's everyone, our whole team is like, hey, you know, you got that next time. Our coaches are like, there's so much positivity and so much just like positive energy around this that, you know, if we make a mistake, if we, you know, basketball's a game of runs. If they go on a run, we know that we can go on a run again too. There's just so much positive energy and support on this team right now that everyone is willing to take chances, is willing to give all.
Obviously, you know, every organization rises and falls in leadership. Tell us about playing for J.R. Payne. What's that like?
She is awesome. I know you've probably heard that a lot. And people are like, is that really true? No, she really is. Like, she wants to get to know us as people, and it's, as a senior, knowing that she only has one more year with me, that was actually really shocking in a good way, because, you know, she only has one more year left with me. She could just be like, oh, have fun by yourself, but no, she's really, you know, been like, how's your family, how's school, how's, you know, and it's with everyone that she genuinely cares about all of us and wants to see us succeed, and you can definitely feel that when you're on the court. You know, she talks to us in a way that, you know, we respect her, we, you know, want to get better for her, for each other, and it's a great environment to be in.
You know, we just had Kennedy on. You got to ask those underclassmen if they're taking care of business in the classroom. I know you are. Finals week here, right?
Yeah.
You're a senior. You know what this is all about.
Yeah. Second to last finals. It's pretty crazy, but
what are the future plans after basketball's over for Zoe?
I'm still trying to work that out.
Right.
Applying to jobs right now, which is bigger than finals. No, it's been fun. It's been kind of crazy, just figuring out everything, trying to figure out my next step. Hopefully to get into the entertainment industry, go back home potentially. You know,
performing or behind the scenes, or what are you?
Still working that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry. I'm in my 40s. I still don't know what I'm going to do with it. So, hey, keep up the good work. You got 2 games left before the Pac-12, and then you dive into the deep end of the pool.
Yes.
All right. What a great start for the CU women's basketball team. 9-0 in the season. They're on the road this coming weekend at Mississippi Valley State. That'll wrap up the Buffalo Stampede. We'll talk to you next time.